afternoon. This is Derek Chamblee broadcasting from Chamblee, Atlanta, the next great American city, Battleground Zero, the epicenter of the 2017 civil defense of the United States of America. It's winding up on 4 o'clock in the late afternoon here in Chamblee, Atlanta. Been raining part of the day, but it's clearing up now. It's Sunday, June 17th, 2017, and following the news today, we want to feature an opinion article posted early this morning on Newsweek.com, and the headline is, Richard Epstein, is Comey guilty of influencing an investigation? And Richard Epstein is part of the Hoover Institution site, and this article first appeared on the Hoover Institution site. And I'll take it from the top. In the opinion article by Richard Epstein, former FBI Director James Comey is the star of a gripping political drama that may bring Donald Trump's tumultuous presidency to an... Anyway, a big word there. Trump will be subject to non-stop political pressure given his unerring ability to say or tweet the wrong thing at the wrong time. And we're going to skip down in the article. Comey's testimony was constructed to lay the foundation for the special prosecutor to make a finding that President Trump had violated the well-established statutory prohibitions against obstruction of justice. Now, we want to stop right there because in the opinion article, it's saying lay the foundation for a special prosecutor. Later on in the article, it basically is laying the foundation for a special counsel. And there's a big difference here between a special counsel and a special prosecutor. And we want to point that out, that we don't have a prosecutor here, a special prosecutor. We have a special counsel. And continuing in the article, but the obstruction charges are not confined to politic tweets, and ironically may be applicable to Comey's own effort to influence the FBI information. He prepared testimony before the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence, which he followed up with his dramatic appearance before the committee on June 8th, has undeniable surface appeal. But on closer reading, it reveals a darker side filled with self-serving allegations that should make him a target of far closer scrutiny than an uncritical and adoring press has given him. So, in this opinion article, Epstein is laying the foundation for the possibility that former FBI Director Comey himself diverted and obstructed justice in an ongoing investigation of possible criminal investigation with the Clinton emails and possibly any kind of connections between the Trump campaign and Russia. At any rate, the article continues. The main issue is whether Comey was able to establish that Trump had obstructed justice by seeking to block the FBI investigation into the ties between Mike Flynn, Trump's short-lived national security advisor, and the Russians. So we want to stop right there because Mike Flynn made this incredible speech at the Republican National Convention, and a year ago, and at that time, very political speech. At that time, he was not the National Security Advisor. And continuing in the article, Comey's most damning testimony is that Trump said, "I hope you can see your way clear to letting this go, to letting Flynn go. He is a good guy. I hope you can let this go." And during the testimony, Comey said, quote, "I replied only that he is a good guy," unquote. So Comey let this go at this time, but basically in his June 8th appearance before the Intelligence Committee, basically he's laying the foundation that this particular comment by our current President Donald Trump should be looked at as obstruction of justice. At any rate, in the Epstein article, he quotes the statute about obstruction of justice. Here we go. The applicable statute about obstruction of justice reads in relevant part as follows: "Whoever corruptly or by threats of force or by any threatening letter or communication influences, obstructs, or impedes, or endeavors to influence, obstruct, or impede the due and proper administration of the law under which any pending proceeding is being had before any department or agency of the United States shall be fined under this title in prison not more than 5 years." Epstein now continues with the article. Two features stand out. First, in the absence of the use or threat of force, obstruction requires that the conduct in question be corrupt. Second, obstruction can be made out by showing an endeavor, quote unquote, to illicitly obstruct even if that effort failed. The key question is whether the term hope, quote unquote, used by President Trump, entails only a simple and legal request, or whether it connotes a direction or order to do an illegal act. Taking the words in isolation, the former interpretation seems clearly correct by context, but context always matters. Did the circumstances reveal that the president made veiled threat that he would fire Comey if the FBI investigation were to continue? Question. In response to questions from the Senator James Risch of Idaho, Comey insisted that he, quote, took his words as a direction, unquote, but oddly, Comey neither resigned nor reported the matter up the chain of command. How convenient. The article continues. The hard question is why Comey allowed the ambiguity to ride by his evasive response that Flynn was an honest man. The entire incident should have gone away if Comey had sought to clear the matter up then and there by asking the president flat out whether he was ordering Comey to stop the investigation of Flynn. Oh, so, and continuing in the article, my own guess is that even Trump would have sensed the suicidal danger in ordering Comey to stop this investigation, and so he would have clarified the statement to say that when he said hope, he meant hope after all. Trump had just fired Flynn as the National Security Advisor for lying to Vice President Michael Pence about his contacts with the Russians. We want to stop right there because if Michael J. Flynn is when and if he gives his testimony should reveal that Vice President Mike Pence had full knowledge of what Michael Flynn was doing when he made that speech at the Republican National Convention. He had full knowledge of his contacts with the Russians. He had full knowledge that the real collusion was on the part of the anti-Trump Republicans that could not stop Trump's nomination, that made a deal just before the convention, and Mike Pence became the running mate of our current president, Donald Trump, and represented the Never Clinton, that became Never Trump, that became Never Clinton again group that included Jeb Bush, Marco Rubio of Florida, Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker, Speaker of the House Paul Ryan, the Governor of Florida Rick Scott, and the Senator from Texas Ted Cruz, and also the Governor of Ohio John Kasich, who basically opted out at one point of the group. And so we'll come back to that a little bit later. Very interesting article in Newsweek. It's rather lengthy, and this article by Mr. Epstein Richard Epstein really gets to some very interesting points here. And so basically the Trump defense is to build a wall around Vice President Mike Pence, because basically the collusion existed on the part of the anti-Trump Republicans, which as a candidate, our current president said all along. He said that the origin of the leaks, the origin of the hacking was not Russia. It was his domestic political enemies. And so we're going to get to this turnaround of the origin of the leaks, the origin of the hacking that led to the flipping of votes in the state of Florida and the flipping of votes in November in the state of Wisconsin, which gave our current president just enough in the Electoral College to win in the Electoral College. And I want to play now this article here, a little bit later in the article. Mr. Epstein mentions a date here. Here we go. Comey's own July 5th, 2016 statement, however, butchered a law that imposed criminal responsibility for the unauthorized use of a server, either intentionally or with gross negligence. His response was that while we, quote, did not find clear evidence that Secretary Clinton and her colleagues intended to violate laws
Hillary Clinton again. She, of course, went in front of, I believe, Congress. How long does it take to tell the truth?
One word, 1 second.
Right,
and that's all it takes, is I am responsible for.
Okay.
And she has not taken responsibility for her actions. So therefore, what type of president is she going to make for this country?
Right, and the president selects the director of the CIA and then connected with the Homeland Security.
And the FBI.
And so not only is the president an elected official of the people, also commander-in-chief, and also head of the intelligence community. And so if a president cannot properly handle classified, in other words, the president's the top spy.
You should not.
Right, then they're not fit for the presidency. Is that the way you see it?
That's the way I see it.
All right, and you know, former President Bill Clinton, her husband, was not so much impeached and tried in the Senate on Monica Lewinsky. He was tried on perjury.
Yes.
Whether or not he committed perjury.
If politicians would take responsibility, which they don't, they would not have the problems that we're having with people not being able to trust politicians. And that's where Trump has the upper hand. He is not he is not a politician. And people might not like what he says, but he says what he says and he doesn't back down.
Thank you. That's John Kennedy, and we call this.
I am a vet. I am a proud, patriotic American veteran.